Good morning, guys. It's Charisma here again today. Of course, once again, good morning. God bless. Have a blessed, beautiful, beautiful, wonderful day. Once again, I am going to wing this. Um, some more of words of wisdom. I'm not going to use scripture, but if you find something you like, please send me a message with the scripture because we educate each other. Um, I was once again, as I'm always talking to God, and I had asked Him about planting seeds, because most of the time when I'm speaking to somebody, I'm actually planting a seed without them knowing. And I said, God, isn't that like what the devil does? It's deception that you're doing something without somebody knowing. And you know what He said to me? Um, the creature was taught by the Creator. And I said, okay, I kind of get that. And he said everything that, Satan was in heaven, his first man, best angel at one time. Satan was taught and knows everything from God. So I'm not actually being deceptive, and people will say that's the ways of Satan. That's what Satan does. But see, Satan uses what he has learned from God, but he uses it in reverse the wrong way. So everything like planting a seed without somebody knowing, because sometimes when you speak to people and you say things, they're very hurtful, and instead of iron sharpening iron, it actually breaks them down. So you say things in a different way to plant a seed, and hopefully it'll grow and change somewhat. But actually, that's what he's doing. He's using heaven's tactics, what God has taught and shown, and turning it around and uses it the wrong way, like he did in the garden with Adam and Eve. So they're actually not, as I was thinking, critical thinking, it's not deception. It's deception when you use it the wrong way, the way Satan does. And that's how he fools us, because we think it's God, but it's actually God's tactics used in reverse the wrong way. That's what I said, Satan's, they show you all these red people with the horns and stuff. Satan was very beautiful and attractive. And so he came in like an angel of light. So that's how he uses his tactics. It looks very looks well planned out. It looks good, but he's actually fooling you. I just want to put that out there. Whew, yeah, excuse me, I'm a little out of breath today, but heart medicine anyway. But I wanted to give a scenario, and I hope and pray that nobody gets mad. But please look at it in a bigger picture. I had a person, like I said, I never give the name or the church, say that a guy came in and he was buying church dinners. And I think he bought like two, which made it have been like $20, but he had given up $100. And supposedly after he left, someone had said from the church, "Oh, he's just a big drug dealer. That's why he's spending his money here at the church." And I'm not being offensive. If you felt that way, why don't you turn them away and say, we don't really want to take that type of money? But you know what I started looking at? Like I said, Satan uses his tactics in the wrong way. When I see, people that's in that profession, it's the wrong profession. Don't be offended. In my eyes, I've been there. It don't lead to anything good. I see them as CEOs. And let me use when I was trying to go into acting and God stopped that. If he would have came in and did that, Instead of criticizing and saying what this person said, I would have said, hey, my man, let me talk to you over here for 5 minutes. You know, and I'm saying it as in like a guy to a guy, because I wouldn't want a woman telling me about that. That's like a man telling me about my cramps. They don't really hurt. So I said, hey, my man, let me talk to you for 5 minutes for a second. And I would actually tell him, so I see you're CEO. And he would probably look at me very strange. And I would tell him, you know, your line in your profession you're in, those are leaderships profession and leadership roles and leadership personality. Because anytime you can watch over yourself and watch over the law not coming after you, watch over your friends and family that like to use you when you're not professional, and watch over somebody else that you're doing your business with that can actually harm you or your family. If you can do that, house in fear, because most of the time when you're in that business, fear, there's a little bit of fear that's going on. That's CEO. Those are leadership qualities. And that's what I mean by Satan will use it. Use your gifts the wrong way. You know, and it seems easy, but that life's not. And it normally doesn't lead to anything but what I ended up in. So when you talk to somebody about what they may be doing wrong, instead of criticizing, you know, doing an iron sharpens iron, you know, talk to them with wisdom. You know, it's easy to put somebody down instead of helping. I always got to see the bigger picture. And, you know, Satan reverses our roles. And I'm going to say something else, and, you know, you guys can put in the comments or whatever you like to do. And I'm saying us, and please don't say, oh, you must have killed somebody. What I'm saying is us, as they call shooters, you know, when you are out there shooting at somebody or taking a life, you know, you can use that honestly in a profession. And I'm sorry, some of the shooters are right on point. So, you know, I know we go against the law a lot, but sometimes I think, why don't we go on the other side? You know, you ever hear of a sniper? And I'm going to the extreme. I know my professors get mad at me. If you're that great at shooting someone illegally and harming them, and possibly, you know, you spend a life in prison, just think if you join something that has something to do with the law. I call it like special teams. I'm not for sure what the lingo is. But sometimes situations get so bad that they would actually, to me, say, we need our deadly weapon. And everybody looks at each other. We need a sniper. And guess who comes out? You. The one that's out here shooting. And I'm not condoning snipering, and, you know, but you have to remember sometimes innocent lives are taken, and you need that deadly weapon, the sniper. So, you know, stop letting Satan use your gifts the wrong way. Because like I said, it normally lands you somewhere where you're not useful to others. And your destiny is wiped away. And I always say, the ones that are best of the best, he tries to destroy the most, because you become a role model to others. I just want to say that this is Charisma. Once again, have a blessed, beautiful, wonderful day. Sounding off.